All right. Good evening, everyone. Let's see. I think we are live. I think we are. Yeah. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Pod Brother Nation. I am Steve Kimbrough, the Pod Brother, and we are super excited to have Bill Devlin come back and do some more of his comedy. He's one of our favorites here on Pod Brother Nation, and he's loved throughout the country, throughout the nation. And you couldn't have just a nicer dude up here busting jokes on our behalf. So we're looking forward to it, man. We are so looking forward to it. And he hails all the way from Minnesota, makes California his new home, and he is pretty iconic with a lot of the shows that he's done at the Dublin. And a lot of comics love and respect his set, his act, his show, and so I'm honored and pleased to have him on the Pod Brother Nation show. So a little bit about what we got going on here. This is a platform that we've developed to showcase comics and to keep the stand-up comedy vibe going amidst this COVID-19 thing. Comics have a way of just being creative and relentless and ambitious and, not going to let anything get in the way of us getting on stage and working our craft and busting jokes and just, stand-up comedy and stage is like church for comics. I mean, if we don't get on stage like every day, we feel like we're losing some spiritual strength, some spiritual muscle. And, there's something about just looking out in that audience, coming up with some material that you work really hard on getting it right and making it funny and getting the timing in place and all the other elements that go into doing stand-up. And then when you finally get a chance to see it work, it's a very satisfying thing. And speaking of seeing it work, we got the very funny Mr. Bill Devlin in the house, going to shellac us with his Jameson-style comedy.
Hey,
Bill, how you doing, buddy?
I'm great. I'm great.
It's good to see you, as always.
Still stocked up. I'm still stocked up on the Jameson. This is my family crest, by the way, the Devlin Irish family crest.
I see it. That's cool. You should.
And we have the family drink.
Very nice. So how you been? I mean, before we get into your stand-up, man, how you been making out on this COVID thing, man? We've been over 90 days in quarantine, self-isolation. How you making out so far?
I mean, it's pretty surreal, actually. Like, any day you can wake up and list what's going on, and it's like it's a nightmare. Like you're waking up into a nightmare. Like if somebody told you this is what was going to happen, you wouldn't believe it. You would never. And remember, like in March when they said, "Oh, it's going to be 2 weeks," we're like, 2 weeks? Oh, that's crazy. And now we're past our third month, right?
Right.
And then crazier things are always happening. There's murder hornets out there. There's all kinds of conspiracies. There's swarms of locusts attacking aliens. They just mentioned aliens are. I've always known aliens are real. I never told you this, but I saw I've always believed it, but I did end up seeing a flying saucer. Not a flying saucer. Flying saucer. Like,
I was gonna say, how many drinks of Jameson have you had to see flying saucers? How many sips does it take to see a flying saucer, Bill?
Okay, well, Tommy, that's just it wasn't a saucer.
I want to see flying copters too. I want to see helicopters with propellers.
I saw it was one of those V-shaped things that you've seen, but you've not seen it, but you've heard about them. There, it's a flying V thing with lights underneath it.
Right.
It's huge. It was flying right over the 101, and it was not making a sound, and it was shooting some kind of fire out the front of it. And this was at night. And my wife, who doesn't believe in aliens or UFOs and hates the whole idea of them saw it, and I'm like, what is that? And she's like, that's a UFO. And anyway, it was I tried to get a picture of it, but it just, you can't. Anyway, couldn't. But it was confirmed on MUFON. I went on the MUFON website, and people saw it the same path I saw. I went all the way from Ventura to Long Beach, and they saw the same thing. It was shooting some fire. People thought that was out the back, but I actually saw from the V, it shot something out, and then when it moved towards it, it kind of dissipated around the shape of it. So that's how I could tell it was a V. And
I want some of those mushrooms you've been doing, buddy, because that sounds like you got.
I'd like to do some mushrooms someday.
Sounds like you've been clocking the good stuff.
That's an old-timey drug. Tonight's show is, by the way, brought to you by Pabst Blue Ribbon. Sponsored by Pabst.
Nice. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Pabst Blue Ribbon is proud to present the stand-up comedy of Bill Devlin. So put your hands together and your feet and your testicles, anything that you can clack that can make some noise for Bill Devlin.
So we've been, so what we're talking about, so there's, wacky stuff. And then the fireworks going off. That's, crazy, all the flashbang fireworks. I don't have any jokes about that, but I thought that was aliens, but then I did my research. That wasn't aliens. It's really people just blowing off fireworks. But no, the thing is like people now. So I don't know. You can get the virus in weird ways. We're learning that you can get it in weirder ways. It can float into your eye now. Did you know that? So you wear glasses, so you're okay. But you got to watch out. Like, how do you even watch out for that? Like, it floats in your eye. And then a new thing came out this week. A study shows that a toilet plume, you can have the virus in it, which this is how they described it, a toilet plume, which is something I don't really talk, but a toilet plume is, so for this to happen, let's break this one down. You would have to go up to someone else's poopy toilet and flush it, and then hang around and take a big whiff of the plume, and then you might get like, who's if you're doing this, your problems are not the virus. You got pink eye. That's you're a weirdo that's flushing other people's toilets and sniffing the plumes. That's the virus isn't your biggest worry. And then we talked about this one, the farts. You can get the virus from a fart, but as we know, a mask will protect you from so this would be, somebody would have to literally fart with a bare ass right in your face, and then you'd get the virus. Now, if you're doing that, like that's like, well, here's what I want to know after thinking about a couple of these studies, like who's doing these studies? Like, that's got to be the scientists that drew the short end of the stick, right? Like where are they? Who's doing these studies? Figure this stuff out. Like at the science lab, like it's like, all right, Larry, you're in the fart room this week. And he's like, no, I was in the fart room last week. Well, either the fart room or the golden shower room. That's all we got. Cannon is in it. The plume room.
The plume room.
What lab are these studies coming out of? Like, what freaky? Who knows what the hell they'll come up with? Well, the golden shower. I'm waiting for that one to come out. If you get a golden shower, you might get the virus. It could happen. But if you ever think of your job, like that job, kind of like that's the low end of the stick for a scientist. But if you ever think your job sucks, there's people in Thailand whose job it is to stick their heads in alligators' mouths, giant crocodiles' mouths. Have you ever seen any of that?
Yeah, I have. It's crazy.
I've done live. It's terrifying because like the crocodile, and they stick their head in the crocodile's mouth, and I've got a picture I could show you. Maybe not, but it's crazy, and that's their job. And they also stick their arm in there, and some of them don't make it. Some of them get their heads chomped. And actually 2 weeks after I was at the show, One guy got his head chomped and the alligator did the death roll, and somehow the guy made it out of there with his head still. But that's a terrible job. And in Thailand, there's poisonous snake show where it's boy versus poisonous snake. And if you look in the back room there's a bunch of boys in one room and a bunch of poisonous snakes in the other room, and nobody knows which one is who's gonna make it. That's a bad job. So, but most people are unemployed now. That's crazy. But when you go back to your job, appreciate your jobs, folks. Yeah, so we're talking about Thailand. I've been to Thailand many times, and there's monkeys in Thailand, and people are always like thinking monkeys are cute. Oh, look at the cute, adorable monkey. No, monkeys are horrible, terrible, hairy criminals. They're like monkeys are. Okay, everyone knows that monkeys are smart, but did anyone see this? There's a video on YouTube. You can see it. A monkey rides up on a scooter up to a baby and then dumps the scooter and tries to kidnap the baby, grabs the baby and tries to run off with him. A kidnapping monkey. Now that's a pretty monkey. He didn't get away with it, but I'm pretty sure that the ransom note read, yeah, if you want to see the kid again, send us a case of bananas and a sack of cheeseburgers. That's what I imagine the ransom notes. I'm pretty sure that's what it said about it. It was in Thai, so I couldn't read what the monkey ransom note said, but I'm pretty sure that that's what it said. But monkeys are tough. When monkeys fight, I read about this. So when monkeys fight each other, what they'll immediately do is try to bite off their face and rip off all vital organs, like including the nut sack. And it's like, and when they're fighting humans, it's worse. How could it be worse than that? What's worse? What's worse than that? So monkeys are terrifying. Most people don't realize it. And I was in Thailand not too long ago, which brings me to my monkey story. I was on the River Kwai, and we were in a bamboo hut in the middle of the hot, sweltering jungle. No modern facilities, monsoon rains, mosquitoes with malaria, all just for fun. This was a fun vacation. But we're in this bamboo hut. There's no frills at all, just bamboo and a bed. And anyway, and there's monkeys. So I'm watching one morning this monkey climbing around, and he's in this lady's stuff, and he grabs out of this lady's stuff a bag of popcorn, and then he immediately, that's his score, so he runs up on the roof and he opens the bag of popcorn and he starts eating the popcorn. And I immediately think, oh, look at the adorable cute monkey, that would make a great picture. And so I grabbed my camera, and just as I was about to snap the picture, a voice in my head said, "You're one of the idiots. Don't interact with the monkeys." It was too late. The camera snapped. And yes, it was a camera, which people used. It was a camera, and it only took pictures. It didn't do texts, or you couldn't call on it. You couldn't do email. It just only took pictures. That was it. And you couldn't even share the pictures. You just kept them in the camera. Sometimes maybe you'd print one out. That was it. Anyway, the flash on the camera goes off, freaks the monkey out. He drops the popcorn into the river. That freaks me out. And I look at the monkey, and the monkey looks at me, and we lock eyes. And then that, you're never supposed to lock eyes with a monkey. That means fuck you, it's on. And the monkey, that's exactly what happened. The monkey sees me, and he's like, oh, it's on. And he starts swinging at me, and I, thinking quickly, ran like a girl, screaming, running. I end up at the end of this bamboo because I can't go anywhere. I'm on a bamboo raft. So I'm at the end of the dock and I'm looking at the river and the monkey's coming at me. And I'm thinking, aha, I'll jump in the river because I know the monkeys won't jump in the river, right? And he's getting closer. And then I remember the reason the monkeys won't jump in the river is because they know that in the river is crocodiles, poisonous snakes, and elephant poop. It's just full. So that's why the monkeys won't run. But all of that sounded better to me than having my nutsack ripped off. So I'm about to jump in the river, and the monkey's getting really close, and all of a sudden, whack! The monkey gets whacked in the face with a broom, and I look, and it's my wife come to the rescue, and she's whacking the monkey with a broom, and he's mad, and he runs off, and he takes off, and my wife saves the day. So, yeah, and that's not the end of the monkey story. Doesn't end there. I thought that was the end of the monkey story. I go back to my hut, wake up the next morning to the sounds, the terrifying but soothing sounds of the jungle. And I'm looking out the bamboo window, and there's the monkey. He's swinging from a tree, and he's looking at me. He's like, oh, aha, you're awake. He's been just watching me sleep, right? Just waiting for me to wake up to freak me out. And then he's going like this with his other hand. He's going, which seems like a normal monkey thing to do, but I know it means I see you and I know where you live now, motherfucker. And he's like, oh, like he knows where I live. And then I'm like, shit, the monkey knows where I live. And then he leaves for a second, and he comes back, and behind him is more monkeys. He brought bigger monkeys. He brought a monkey gang, a hairy gang of monkeys, and they're all looking at me. And I'm sure he told them the whole story about the popcorn and everything, and they were all riled up about it. And so now I get this whole gang of monkeys looking at me, and I'm like, what am I going to do? I can't. I'm in a bamboo hut. I got monkeys smash bamboo for a living. That's what they do. There's no protection in the bamboo hut. So I'm thinking about what the hell am I going to do to get out of this situation? And just then, a crocodile comes jumping up out of the river and snaps at the monkeys. And they freak out. And then I look at the monkey and I'm like, I have friends, monkeys. These are my pals. And the monkeys looked at me and they looked at the river and they're like, they bought it. They're like, fuck, he's friends with the alligators. And they left. And that's the monkey story as far as I got. It's all pretty much all true, Stephen.
Nice.
That's why the monkeys are terrible. I should have a moral of the story, like, I don't know, remember Commander McBragg? It sounds like a Commander McBragg story. It's a really old cartoon with his commander, and he would do something like at the end, and that's how I became the king of the River Kwai. And then that other guy would go, oh, wait, what a hairy tail, Commander. And he'd go, wait. That's the cartoon. It's the cartoon in me. Anyway, that's my monkey's tale. So next time you're out seeing monkeys, they're not cute animals at all. What else? I had to do. Now as actors, we have to do self-tape auditions. Have you had to do any of those? You're an actor.
Yes, I have.
I'll explain to the folks what a self-tape audition is. We used to go to a casting studio and there'd be a script, but you'd go into a room and there'd be a casting agent and they'd have a camera and lights and the whole thing, and they'd guide you through the script. They'd interact with you, and you'd put it on tape for the, whoever to see it, the producers and the directors to see it. And now that's not happening because you can't go in and interact with anybody. You can't go into the room. So now what they have is what's called just a self-tape. Just send us a little self-tape. But what we have to do as actors, we have to make ourselves look good. So not only do we've got to memorize the script and come up with all the stuff that we normally do, but now we have to do the lighting. We have to have the camera. Sometimes they ask for different angles or different things. And I had one friend, a buddy of mine, I just talked to him. He sent in his tape and they sent back notes. Oh, could you make it look less professional? Like what the hell? Like what the? That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. But this is what we're dealing with. Like you don't know what if the. But now we're everybody. We're the casting agent, the producer, the director, the whole thing of the whole show. And then what happens? You send it in to them. You know, they say send it by Dropbox or a link or whatever, and you email it to them or whatever. But then the thing is, you never hear anything. Like, we got it, thanks, nothing. You just never know. It's like you spent 2 days working on this thing, and you don't even know if they got it. All you got to do is wait and hope you get a phone call or an email or something. And most of the time, you don't. I gotta say, a lot of times. Anyway, so it's insane. We should get, I don't know, it's bananas. I mean, that's like the equivalent of, here's what I was thinking. It's like if you go to a restaurant now and they're like, oh, because of COVID, we don't have a cook or a waiter or anybody. So why don't you take your own order, go back in the kitchen and cook it up and then bring it out. But you don't get to give it to yourself. You got to give it to somebody else and they'll just walk away with it and you won't know if they liked it or got it. That's what it's like. Would you say so, Stephen? Isn't that what it's like?
I would. That's exactly what it's like.
Self-tape audition. Ridiculous. We have to go to, and you never know if you're going to get anything out of that. I mean, 90% of the time you don't get anything out of it, is what we know. Actors get rejected. A million times a day.
I've actually exploited myself on the casting couch.
What do you mean? You stuck somebody's? No,
I casted myself. I auditioned myself, and I gave myself sexual favors to get the part for myself.
Are you suing yourself now?
It's a self-isolation joke there, Bill.
I say, what are you, foghorn leghorn? Yeah. I say it's a joke, son.
It's a joke, son. It's like I'm here to audition for the part, yeah. And it's like, it's me. All right, if you want the part, then you're going to have to do me, but it's me.
You ask yourself, what did you do?
Self-casting on the casting couch, coming to a theater near you.
I have a joke about that, like self-employed, like you're self-employed. Like it gets weird. I touch myself in the shower, so now I'm suing myself for sexual harassment. I went to court. I told the judge I was asking for it. I had to have a button that said #me. Oh, too. But yeah, I don't know. What was I talking about? Food. We could stay on the food thing. Because my wife, she loves buffets, which they're closed now. Who knows when we're ever going to see a buffet again? You know, I can't eat that much at a buffet. I don't know. I used to be able to, but I can't eat. Like, buffets are expensive now. They're like $35, $40. Who can eat that much? You know, I can eat the $12.95. Pancakes and eggs. That's all I need. I don't need $35 worth. There's got to be liquor involved. If there's liquor involved, I figure, okay, I could get my money's worth out of the unlimited mimosas. But I can't eat. Like, my wife can eat she can eat crab. She can eat her weight in crab. She's 100 pounds, and she can eat, like, I've witnessed it. Like, there's a pile of crab shells as tall as her if there's seafood, because people go nuts, especially Asian people. They love the seafood buffet. They go crazy. I'm not being a stereotype, but I'm just saying, I don't know what it is, but seafood buffets. A lot of people go crazy for seafood buffets and lose their minds. I'm not, but my wife, man, we were at a buffet in Las Vegas just before this all happened in December, and it was all you can eat sushi. And but they're trying to trick you. They're like, you have to eat the rice. So we're not going to give you more sushi unless the rice is all cleared from the plate. So my wife has this handled. She puts all the rice into napkins, hands them to me, and she eats just the sushi, no rice. Pretty soon I've got mounds of rice in my pockets, and I got to get rid of it. So I got to go out to like the parking lot, like it's in my pocket, and have it go through my pants. I'm walking around like having it go through, like secretly, like in the Shawshank Redemption movie, right? When they're getting rid of the dirt, I'm walking around the parking lot, getting rid of, rice out of my pants. People are like, why are pigeons following that man? But we did it. We got sushi. There must have been more to that bit, but I lost it. So that's the all-you-can-eat sushi bit. But it's bananas. I don't know. I love it. I have, if you go near downtown LA, there's places called the Pupuseria. Have you ever had one of those?
I have not.
The Pupuseria, that's what, I didn't even know what it was. You've heard of it, right? You've seen it.
I have, yeah. I heard it.
Like, what the hell is it? It sounds like a sick pussy, right? So like some woman would go to the doctor, and the doctor's like, I'm sorry, miss, but you've got Pupuseria. It's a terrible case. But no, it's Salvadorian pocket bread. And so you can eat the pussy. I had just one. It was a pussy. And it was a pretty tasty snack, I gotta say. I liked the Pupuseria. It wasn't bad. There's a restaurant there's a restaurant also called Kashimbo. And that just sounds like, it was a Japanese restaurant. That sounds like a big Japanese mess to me. Like everything Kashimbo. Yo, everything Kashimbo. I don't know. But my wife, she's a great cook. She cooks a lot of fantastic Thai dishes. And she, one of my favorites is she makes, there's a thing called, it's a squash. Pumpkin or squash is called fuck. And so she'll make fuck soup. I didn't know what the hell that was. She wakes me up in the morning. She's like, Billy, wake up. You want fuck? I'm like, sure. Like, no, you want fuck soup? I'm like, no, that's hot. It would burn. I can't. Fuck this. I tried the fuck soup, and I really liked fuck. I ate fuck long time. I did. What else was I thinking about talking about? I don't know. The monkey story. I definitely wanted to tell you the monkey story. But my wife is great. We do things for our wives. We she likes to tag along with me places, like go to the doctor. And I found out that's a bad idea. Don't bring your wife to the doctor, because doctors have questions, and they're normally easy to answer questions. Like, do you exercise? Mr. Devlin, do you exercise? My answer is yes. Yes, I do. But my wife is there now. She's like, oh, no, he don't. Oh, he don't exercise. In fact, he pay every month for LA Fitness, and he never go. He lazy and he wasting money. The doctor's taking notes on this stuff. Lazy, wasting money, okay. All right. And then the next question is, what about diet? Do you eat properly? Yes, I do. No, he eat at home, but then I know he go out, he eat the burger. I find a French fry in between the seats. He eat the French fry. I find a receipt for Taco Bell. He eat Taco Bell. He eat fat. He eat fast food. He eat fat. I was like, all right, fatty food. What about smoking? Now this one is easy for me. Smoking, because I've never smoked in my life. Cigarettes, and I'm pretty proud of it. So I'm like, nope, never did smoke a cigarette in my life. And I hear, oh, but he liked to smoke a cigar. He smoked a cigar. Oh, he smoked stinky cigar. Oh, and pot. he loved to smoke pot, doctor. He smoked pot, he gets stoned, he watched cartoons, eat a bowl of cereal. He probably high right now. He probably smoke a blunt in the lobby. Doctor's like, all right. Smokes pot. She's ratting me out. And I can't say anything. If I start denying it, I'm just going to look worse. I'm going to look like a psychopath if I start. So I got to just go with it. And then comes the drinking questions, which if you drink at all, no one can answer the drinking questions truthfully. Because if you look, the drinking questions at the doctor's office is how many drinks do you have in a week? And they just casually ask you this. So how many do you have? 0, 1 to 2, 3 to 5, or 6 to 10. Like 10 drinks is the most they can imagine anybody having in a whole week. And I'm thinking like, okay, if we're talking by the hour, I got this. I can pick one. But no, they're talking a whole week. You can't answer that. It would blow their minds. I did it once. It literally blew the doctor's minds. They tried to send me into all kinds of programs and places. You don't want to tell them. So I picked the middle one because I don't want to look like I'm lying. So I'm like 3 to 5. And then what do I get? Oh, no, he Irish. Oh, he loved to drink. Oh, he drank a whole bottle of Jameson. Oh, he dug it down. Gug. Oh, he loved it. He loved to drink. He get drunk. He get naked in the backyard. He run around. I don't know what he doing out there. All right. Drinks a lot. Diet. Listen, Mr. Devlin, here's what I want you to do. I want you to watch your diet, cut out a little bit of the pot and the drinking, exercise, and I want to see your wife back here in 8 weeks to find out how you're doing. So don't take your wife to the doctor. It's not a good idea. You never know what's going to happen. I never took her back again. But we do other things for our wife. Like I had a Groupon. Well, I didn't have a Groupon. My wife loves Groupons. I don't know. She likes to, usually it's a nice, like a dinner or something, or it's. One time she took us to a salsa lesson, which went terribly wrong. A salsa lesson. I'm no dancer, and we get into this. It turns out the Groupon was for an advanced salsa lesson, and the people didn't, and it was in the middle of the class. We walk in, we don't know anything. They just, they got our money. They don't care. And the lesson went like this. Okay, come on in. Okay, stand here. Okay, and now everybody, and you can't see my feet because it's all in the feet, but she's just like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 5, and we're like, we don't know what the hell we're doing. I never went back. And so that was a disaster. But most Groupons are good, except one day she says, oh, I got a Groupon for a spa. I'm like, okay, spa. Sounds good. She's like, we go spa in Beverly Hills. We go to a spa. I'm like, okay. So we drive to the spa in Beverly Hills and get to the building. And my wife, they check her in and bring her off to some room. And then the receptionist checks me in and then just says, come with me, Mr. Devlin. I'm like, okay. So I follow the receptionist into this room and go in there. It's like a doctor's office kind of a room with some machinery and a bed in there. Not a bed, but like a doctor's kind of a bed in there. And, I'm not seeing no hot tub or nothing. That's what I think is spa. But she's like, okay, Mr. Devlin, take off your pants and lay on the bed. I'm like, this is a weird spa. This is a weird fucking spa. But I'm a guy. I want to find out how this pans out, so I do it. So I hop on there, and then she wheels this machine up to me with tubes coming out of it, and I'm like, what is going on here, And she's like, your wife didn't tell you what this was. And I'm like, well, she said it was a spa. And she's like, she laughs. And I find out that she didn't, she told me it was a spa because she couldn't pronounce hydrocolon therapy. Yeah, it's, and the wife's like, and the lady's like, you're about to find out. And she takes a tube and sticks it in my ass. And I'm like, what the hell? And then she turns on the machine and it pumps with water. She's like, this is gonna feel funny, like. And yeah, because they fill you with water, and then somehow another tube sucks it out, and it goes through your colon and supposedly clears out and cleanses your colon. That's why it's the hydrocolon therapy. And it gets worse because the tube was clear. The tube's clear, and so you can see the stuff coming out. And I thought, oh, this is weird. And it got weirder when the lady starts pointing it out to me. Ooh, look at that, Mr. Devlin, look at that go by. And you can like see some loose change rattling through the tube and like car keys. I don't know what the hell, like some bubble gum from when I was 10 years old, a piece of steak. I'm like, it's all true. It's all doesn't digest. Pennies, I don't know. But it's a Groupon, and this is a Groupon. Most people are sitting around having a nice creme brulee or a piece of cheesecake. No, I'm sitting there with a tube in my ass watching my whole diet go past before my eyes. I don't know what the hell is I don't know what the hell's happening is what it is. You know, it's a shocking thing. I'm surprised hydrocolon therapy. I mean, I don't know who would do it on purpose because it's bananas. I don't recommend it. I did feel good. It was might have been a little titillating. I might have, but it was terrible at the same time. Horrifying and titillating. That's, I would describe it. Surprise hydrocolon therapy. So that wasn't a Groupon. That was a poop-on. That's the punchline for that. That's the horrible punchline for that one. So I don't know. And my wife, we've been married 15 years now. It's like a Hollywood record, right? That's a long time. And maybe about 5 years ago, she decided, you know, let's have a kid. So basically what we did was we stopped not trying to have kids. That's what happens. First thing, you know, then you're like, okay, well, we don't have to not try. We're gonna, you know, so, and then after a while, she doesn't get pregnant. So she's, you know, people start like, they always look at the guy first, you know, like it's my fault. And so I have to get tested. So you got to get tested. So I thought, well, I'll just do it myself. I saw at the CVS, there was a thing called a sperm check in a box. It sounds like something you would bring into a hotel room, like a sperm check. You know, like a beep, 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 beep. It can sound like everywhere. If you wouldn't want to bring that into a hotel room, I don't think, because you'd just run out of there if there was a sperm test. But anyway, I'm going to do this thing, and I don't want to get into too much detail of it, but it was like, you'd think you would just like, okay, whack off into a cup and put it in a thing, and, you know, but no, it was like, there was like, do this, wait 5 minutes, then put it here and wait 10 minutes, then put it over here and wait 20 minutes. Like, okay, that's way too much handling of sperm for me. Like, this is like I didn't do it. I read the instructions. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I'm like, I'll go to the clinic. And insurance doesn't like to pay for this kind of stuff, so it's out of your pocket. And my wife finds, she loves to find deals. It wasn't a Groupon, but it was she finds a lady that owns the lab where they test the sperm. And so and makes a deal with her that we can just go right there and eliminate the middleman, the doctor. And so save some dough. So I'm like, all right, I'll do it. So we go there and, you know, tell the lady at the desk what's going on. And she's like, this is weird. Like, you could just see on her face, she's like, this has never happened before. Like, we don't ever see the customer. We just see the bottles come through here. We don't ever see the actual guy. And she's like, yeah, that's fine by me. You can do it. And then she puts the cup down in front, gives me the cup. And then she's like, really don't have any place for you to do this. And then I'm thinking, what? Because I don't know. I've heard of buddies. Have you ever had a buddy that had his sperm tested? Like they tell you, I've always heard stories like, oh, you go in there and there's a room and there's magazines and there's movies playing and a porno show and a hooker whore in the corner and everything you need, whatever, you know, a back off machine, whatever. And no, none of this. I'm at the lab. I get, they finally decided I could go into a janitor's closet to do, so I'm like, all right. So I go into this janitor's closet and then the door doesn't even lock. It doesn't even like, so if somebody opened the door, it's just some freaky guy in there whacking off to Sham Wow. You know, it's like, what the, or weirder yet, somebody would walk in there and they're like, oh, it's just George again. But now I'm in there and I realize my eyes start to, you know, it's dark in there. And I started to realize I got to get this job done in here and start looking around. And I see like some rags. I'm like, oh, you dirty rags. Oh, you, yeah. And no, that's not going to do it. And I see like Mr. Clean. I'm like, oh, that's a different show. That's not. I mean, then I see some mops. I'm like, oh, you dirty mops. You know, you can kind of use your imagination because of the mop, like you skinny, slutty mops. You know, but, like, what the hell am I gonna? And then when my eyes got a little clearer, there was a picture on the wall of an actual woman, and as everything came a little clearer, I could see her name was Doris, Employee of the Month. I can tell you, Employee of the Month because she gets the job done. That's so. So I did. So anyway, it tested fine. It showed that I was, you know, there's no reason I shouldn't be able to have a kid. So, you know, we kept trying for a while, and then you know nothing's happening. So she decides we'll go to Thailand. We're going to go to Thailand and do another thing where they're going to, because now my wife is still blaming me. She says I drink too much. And I don't know where she gets that idea. She's like, your sperm is too drunk. It don't know where it's going. It swim the wrong way. It doesn't know how to do. I'm like, okay, all right. Well, we'll go. So we go to a fertility clinic in Thailand because it's cheaper there. And we go to Thailand anyway, so. But it's way cheaper there, by the way, if anyone's trying to do this. But we go to there, and so now I got to have the same thing all over again. But now I'm like, aha, I'm in Thailand. Like, I got to go whack off into a cup in Thailand. Who knows what kind of crazy stuff's going to be in this room, you know? It's the most sterile room. I can hear people, like, eating soup through the wall, like what the, like, so anyway, I want to get, instead of Mr. Clean, it was Yul Brenner. I don't know. It was King and I reference, folks. You'd have to go way back. But anyway, so everything checks out fine there. And now the plan is they're going to take that the sperm and they're going to basically take a turkey baster, I guess. I'm not around. I flew back. My wife stayed. Just for anyway. So they take a turkey baster and basically, or here's a better way analogy would be, okay, if my sperm is drunk, like my wife says, they're going to take my sperm, they're going to put it in an Uber and give it an Uber ride right to the egg and let it out. And it should be able to get in there, right? Because they're bringing it right to the door instead of swimming the wrong way. They're giving a little help. So we do that, and that didn't work. So at this point, they're like, well, you know, your wife's a little older, you're a little older. You know, maybe this is just isn't gonna pan out for you. So we're like, oh, all right, I guess, you know, we gave it a whirl. And back here, Christmas time, we go to Vegas, and a few weeks later, we're back at my house, and my wife says, "Oh, food, and this is months after the thing didn't work, because that was in September. Now we're into January, and my wife's, food smells bad, and I feel like I'm gonna throw up, and my boobs are sore." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, stop right there. I think we need to get you a pregnancy test, right?" So I stuck with the theme. I went immediately to the 99-cent store and got a pregnancy test for 99 cents. And bring it home, and sure enough, boom, shows she's pregnant. And then I'm like, I don't know if I can believe this, because I got this test from the 99-cent store, but I think you're pregnant. So then I went and I spent the $12 at CVS and got a regular test. And it turns out, yes, she's pregnant. I did it myself. Drunken sperm and all. Swam right in there. So now I'm drinking for two, is what's happening. Our neighbor's here. Gerbsy, our neighbor's here. Hi. I'm good. She's bringing back the neighbor. My wife likes to feed the neighborhood. She brings them food, and she's returning the bowl.
Nice. And, I need to live closer.
And she's gonna make you some food, Steve.
I'm gonna come and get it too, for sure.
She's a great chef. She's a fantastic chef, and she makes good fuck. So anyway, yes, we're gonna have a baby. I did it myself.
Congratulations.
And his name, did I tell you the name? I told him it's a boy. We're naming him Jameson. I'm not kidding. We're naming him Jameson.
Are you really?
Yeah, it's fine. It's a good Irish name.
That
Jameson.
is a good name. That's a great name, actually.
I can't help it that it happens to be $1 million. I won't, he'll figure it out someday, The name on all those ones. But yeah, so if you're, some people found out, like a lot of my friends, I did this bit at the comedy club, and a lot of my friends, they had no clue. They found out after I did this bit. Like, is that true? I'm like, yeah, that's true.
Nice. My son, he'll be 35 July 1st.
You're what?
My son will be 35 July 1st.
35. Holy smokes.
Yep.
Man. Wow. I'm going to be like I'm going to be grandpa is what I'm going to be. What can you do,
Hey, better late than never.
Yeah, why not? You always think, maybe someday. Now I can be like on the cartoons. That's my boy. My son. That's a doggy daddy.
Right.
Good morning, my son. What you doing with the humming boy? Do you remember Doggy Daddy?
I do. I remember all those. Yep.
Yeah. And That's My Boy was the bulldog. What was it on Tom and Jerry? I think it was Tom and Jerry, the bulldog, and he had the little son.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
So yeah, I got to try to stay healthy. So I don't know. I'm not even drinking. I haven't. I don't drink as much as they say. So whoever they are.
Well, we kind of figured you don't have like the red bulbous nose and the red like blood vessel cheeks. So I think you drink less than you say you do, which is.
Yeah.
But I know it's part of the act, so it's all good.
It's all part of the act, folks.
I used to do some bits back in the 80s about getting high, and I didn't smoke weed, I didn't do cocaine, I didn't snort anything, but because that was such a trendy thing back in the 80s, like everybody was doing something, and if you did any kind of drug jokes, they, most of the crowd could relate to it. And then
Oh yeah.
and then I got to the point to where like people were coming up to me like, wanting to score after the show because I'm doing all these drug jokes. And I'm like, oh man, dude, I'm just fucking around, man. I don't do no drugs, man. These are just jokes. It's like that. So that whole high story, like that never happened. I'm like, nah, man, that never happened. I made all that up. They're like, oh man, fuck you.
I was in a band in the 80s, but we didn't do, I don't know, I just like cocaine. I didn't, I tried it obviously, but I didn't do much for me, I mean, it did, whatever. I just thought drugs were kind of stupid, like if you wanted to simulate doing cocaine, you could just drink a bunch of coffee and irritate the hell out of your nose and rip up a large pile of money. Would be, and crystal meth, I knew that was bad. People would snort that stuff, the crystal meth. Like what's in that? Like battery acid? I mean, that stuff, you would literally have to snort water after you snort. If you ever did it, we tried it. And but I was smart. I was like in my early 20s, like I think I was 22. I tried crystal meth. And next morning, like we all like felt like we're having heart attacks. And me and my buddies all just collectively said, you know what, let's never do this drug again. So that was before we knew, people were gonna die. So we knew it was a bad drug. People, if they snort crystal meth, they'd be like this. It'd be like, oh, the pain, make it stop for the love of God, make it stop. Oh my God, the pain. Hey, that's pretty good shit. You got some more? That's how that would. And do you ever remember a drug called angel dust?
I do.
Like, what the hell is that? All you knew was like something was laced with angel dust, and you didn't want
that CPC, man. That stuff, people died on that, man.
Yeah, people would die. Like all you knew was like they did some angel dust and they jumped off a building, or they walked in front of a semi, or like every story about angel.
Every story was like they did something really fucking stupid.
Ended up they were dead. I'm like, why would you ever want to do that? Like, never met anybody that said I did it and I was fine. Like you died if you did that stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people thought they could fly on that.
Yeah, they thought they could leap.
They literally thought they could fly, and they would just be like, "Oh, I can fly." And they were just jumping off out of windows and jumping out of moving cars.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
People did acid. I mean, I tried. I don't know. I guess I don't know. I've tried drugs. I haven't. Anyway, in my 20s, people. Some people tried it. Some people didn't. I was in the group that tried it because we're in the rock band kind of a thing, punk rock band. But one time, I remember this reminded me of this. We did this acid, and then we decided we were all going to drive to a park where there's this raging. It was a creek, but it was like fast-moving whitewater type creek. We were going to hang out there all night on acid. So I remember driving to this park. I'm driving along the river, and I remember all of a sudden my car was a spaceship, and it was flying. It was not on the road, but this is where luckily I had enough common sense. I'm like, okay, this, my car's not flying, even though it is, so I should stay on the road and abide by all normal rules and regulations. So I made it. So we made it there, and we got, and this was with Grant Hart from Husker Du. I don't know if you ever heard of that band. He was famous drummer from a band called Husker Du. Famous.
No, I wasn't into the punk rock. I didn't know that scene at all.
Yeah. So some famous. Anyway, so we all hang out, and then this buddy of ours, Carey, goes missing. We're like, where is he? And he's gone. So then we all start out in a group, like looking for him, but we're tripping out of our minds. And we start looking for him, and then we split up in groups to try to find him. But I remember this clearly, like But me and my buddy were looking in this fast-moving river for basically now his body. But we're laughing our heads off. We're like, oh, what if we find his body? And then I'm like, hey, you realize that we're looking for our buddy's dead body, and we're laughing about it. And then we laugh.
You're like, he's fucking dead, man.
It's hilarious. The funniest thing. And we never did find him. And we found an opium kit that morning, like somehow. And anyway, we called the police. We're like, hello, police. Have you seen Carey? And they're like, no, but it might be a good idea. Give us a description. You're like, no, never mind. So we go all the way back, and this is when I lived in it. It's a longer story. We don't have time for it, but we lived in a church, and that's where the bands hung out and played and lived. But we get all the way back to the church, and we go into Carey's bedroom, and there he is laying there. So now we're all standing around his bed like the Wizard of Oz, and we wake him up, and we're like, Carey, how the hell did you get back home? And he looks at us and he goes, I dug a tunnel, man. And that's what drugs are like, folks. When you're on the good end of it and you've survived.
Right.
I wouldn't recommend.
Don't try this at home, kids.
Don't try it at home anymore. Well, we didn't know any better back then. We didn't believe any of the stories about drugs. The commercials were, they'd show a fried egg. This is your brain. We didn't believe that.
Yeah, I remember those. They weren't effective at all.
Yeah, we didn't believe it. They weren't effective. Obviously not. When I was in high school, they made us go into a treatment center, and those counselors are all like recovered addicts, is what most of those counselors are. Just like if you go to see a marriage counselor, that's somebody whose marriage has been fucked up and is just like, they're really not the people to talk to about this kind of stuff. Like
right.
Marriage counselors, forget about it. They're messed up. Like most psychiatrists, they're psychiatrists because they're nuts already. Send the letters to Stephen Kimbrough, folks.
Right. Right. I'll take care of you. I'll give you counseling.
But no, so they're
I'll give you some angel dust. Tell you go fuck yourself in the 405.
So we went to the counselor, and she's a recovered addict, and we just kept talking about how great everything was and the parties we went to. And then when we go in there, and they're like, little Janice isn't here anymore. We're like, what happened? They're like, she relapsed. It didn't sound too good for her. And we just laughed. We thought that was the funniest thing.
Oh, that's funny.
Made the drug counselor go back to drugs and backfire. You're a teenager. That's what you want to do.
Yeah, we survived some pretty crazy, wacky, dangerous times there, Bill. There's a lot of people who didn't make it out of our generation because the drug scene was such a normalized thing.
Heroin. I know most people I know that ever did heroin are dead. Some people in there, but most people on that didn't make it. Turned out
that's true because I don't know anybody. Everybody that I know who did heroin didn't make it. Did not make it for sure.
The only one person I know is I mentioned his name, Grant Hart from Husker Du, famous drummer. He survived, and then he died of cancer 2 years. He made it through. Hey, so there, we'll end on that.
There we go. End on a good note.
We'll bring it down.
So you got a minute left, Bill. Where can we find you, buddy?
I'm saying is, there's ups and downs, and all you can do is enjoy life. That's what I'm saying. Enjoy, because we're with the craziest times right now, and all you can do is have fun.
Where can we find you, Bill?
Find me at BillDevlin.com, and hopefully a comedy club will be open one of these days.
Nice.
come back.
I want to do some outdoor comedy scenes, so I'm gonna keep you posted on that.
Yeah, that sounds great. And we'll be back here next week, and I won't tell the death stories. That's like the
Nice.
first thing that happened. Will, hey, William, I just